Hello everyone, and welcome to Top Deck Productions. Today is Tuesday, and it is the first Tuesday of September, which means it is the first week of our Tuesday Night Modern League here at Top Deck Productions. We're at GameSwap Mason currently. We have about 30 players here tonight for our modern event, and currently on camera we got Michael Belfatto playing Affinity against Eric Kersting on Elves. Eric has actually, he hasn't played in a month, I think we were talking earlier, and should be interesting. He's on the Green-Black Elves list. It just, recently, the Elves list, I think he's on a very similar list, just won our PPTQ here on Saturday.
That is correct. It was Green-Black Elves featuring 4 copies of Elvish Clangcaller in the deck.
Yes. Pretty new include, straight out of Core 19.
And meanwhile, you mentioned Michael Belfatto?
Yep.
Of course, he recently top 4'd the Indianapolis RPTQ.
But didn't make it, right?
No, just came up a little bit short. It was only 2 invites for the Pro Tour from Indy, just because they were at the exact cutoff for that.
Yep. And of course, tonight we are doing our giveaway featuring the Jund 2018 Commander deck. Lord Wingrace is the featured commander here. Looks like players are still shuffling up. Should be good to go soon. It's the Nature's Vengeance, yes, is the actual deck name. Eric rocking some Zelda sleeves. Yep, so you all be checking your points. If you guys want to know how many tickets you have currently in the entry, if you're curious, you can just ask us and we'll let you know. There's no current command to check that though, but we will be working on getting one of those. Meyer Schroeder's, thanks for the follow. Enjoy your 50 mana. You can use that for this current giveaway or future giveaways. Remember, for this giveaway, it's 25 mana per ticket, max of 10 tickets per person. Use the commands !points to see how many points you have, enter space the number of times you want to enter to buy those tickets. And we'll be polling the winner at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern live on the stream, generally during round 4.
On the dot, that is correct. I'll be myself from the Hopeless account messaging the winner directly. If I don't hear from you in 24 hours, you know, give me some time. Maybe something comes up. I just want to make sure I hear from you. If not, then we'll put it back in the queue. You got 24 hours to respond to the message I will send you after 10 o'clock Eastern.
Alrighty, let's see this Affinity start from Belfatto. Looks fine.
Not the best, but not the worst. I mean, he did mulligan 2/6 to be
the
fair.
last 3 cards in his hand are very good.
That is
Archbound
true.
Ravager, Cranial Plating, and Etch Champion. Those are probably like the 3 cards he wants to see in this current setup, unless he wants an Inkmoth Nexus as an additional land. But
one land at the top will let him play that turn 2 Etch Champion into the turn 3 Cranial Plating
yes.
on the Etch Champion.
Eric fetching up a basic forest here.
Speaking of fetches, we're going to talk about fetches later on tonight when we get some downtime between the matches. But so Eric is the Elves player. He's going to be already under the gun since Affinity was on the play, and Belfatto has the ability to have an explosive start. As odd as it is to say, as we see the Clangcaller in Eric's hand, so he's on that Clangcaller Green-Black version as he plays a Nettle Sentinel. No, made it work. Belfatto's draw was a Steel Overseer. And he's just to pass it back after that. So, as awkward as it is to see a turn 2 Overseer from the Affinity deck, I'm sure Eric is very happy that's all Belfatto did. Because there's only 1 extra creature besides his Overseer. So, not the explosive start that is possible from this Affinity deck.
Fast land. And
I don't think he's just passing it back here.
there's no way.
No.
He has Clangcaller in hand.
He has a Clangcaller. I saw Heritage Druid as well. But I don't
Heritage Druid's ideal, but he doesn't have 3 elves.
Yeah,
So he'll start
I don't think
mana.
he has the ability to. Yeah, he should just play the Clangcaller, and I imagine he should pass it back.
Heritage will be next turn.
Yeah, next turn he can go Cavern of Souls, name Elf. He's going to swing in there for 3. I like the heads up play there. Sometimes it's a little awkward playing a green spell before attacking the Nettle Sentinel, but since Clangcaller will bump the Nettle Sentinel, it's better with that extra point of damage. And Belfatto draws the land he needed, land number 2. I'm going to pull up the Clangcaller for you to see on screen. The M19 Elf Lord making its play in Modern. Of course, again, it was part of the winning PPTQ list this past weekend.
Alrighty, here's the S Champion. We're going to be activating Steel Overseer, get some counters on our dudes.
And of course, if you want to watch any of the matches from the PPTQ, check out our YouTube page at youtube.com/TopDeckProductionsStream. Eric double checking to see what Edge Champion does. Essentially, it's a 3-mana 2/2 with Metalcraft right now because Belfatto has
3 or
more
cannot be
artifacts
targeted
in play.
colored spells or abilities.
More importantly, though, it cannot be blocked by anything that's colored. Eric will play the Cavernous Souls named Elves. No surprise there. I imagine we'll see a Heritage Druid.
That should be the thing for him to do.
That is true. Nelson will untap.
Now we can start making mana, ramp into this Collected Company.
I imagine we're to see Eric cast a spell to get that extra value of the Sentinel where he gets to use it for mana, then untap and attack.
We should tap our 3 Elves, I think. I can't see his entire hand. It looks like Quarter Calling.
Company, maybe a Dwine into lead to Stampede.
Okay, yeah. So if we could tap our 3 Elves, cast Dwine into Lead, tap those 3, and then we could collect a Company off of that. Or we could Chord. But I think he wants to save the Chord for a...
Shaman of the Pack.
Shaman of the Pack, thank you. Yep, alright. Looks like Eric's doing this line where he's casting Dwine into Lead. He'll get a trigger on his Nettle Sentinel, which will untap it, which is super useful. Because now he'll be able to add 3 more green mana to his pool, and he still has 1 floating. So we can just use the 3 from these 3 creatures to cast Collect the Company, and still have 2 lands untapped.
Good question. Jesus Freak P413 asking, what do you think about playing Goblin Rattlemaster in the main and Mardu Pyromancer? I have been playing 2 in the main, and I love it, as Eric will cast his Collect the Company. So the issue I would have with that is Mardu is a very reactive type of deck. Yeah. So we want to be spending your time answering the threat your opponents play and then slamming a Bedlam Rattler to refill your hand and close the door there. You can sort of tune the deck to be more proactive, and Rattlemaster will be a thing that allows...
Alrighty. Not the hottest Coco, but...
No, Nettle Sentinel and Llanowar Elves, not the hottest, but not the worst either.
Yep. We can make 3 green mana and Chord right now, get a Shaman.
I would Chord...
he also has Lead the Stampede, right? That's the name of Lead the Stampede, yep. Yeah. So many Elves we get off this one.
Yeah, if the Rattlemaster's working for you, I'd keep at it, but it's not ideal for that type of deck that Mardu traditionally is. But of course, traditionally...
yeah, it's also
if it's working for you, that's working for you, yeah.
It depends on how competitive you want to be with the deck. There's a lot of things that go into card choices when you're making a deck, but
it's like
that was a pretty fat one.
5 spot off there. Let's see if Eric also remembers his Nettle Sentinel trigger.
Does not appear so, but...
Yeah, so I saw a Elvish Archer, so Llanowar Elves in there, there was a Mystic in there, Reclamation Sage, and... They're not going to look at a 5th card. Maybe another Dwayne.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it was.
But yeah, he 5 for 5. That's what you want to do with that.
It's really good. 3 mana, draw 5. Seems good.
Seems pretty good. Not tapping any actual lands to do it either.
Yeah, he still has plenty of mana.
Here comes one of the dorks. It is going to be Elvish Mystic. I think Eric said, I'm going to remember my trigger this time.
Yep.
Of note, one of the Xeno Settles is not summon sick, so one's going to attack, but of course, even though it's summoning sick, thank you, Atuchi19 for the follow. Since you don't need to tap Nettle Sentinel to itself to the Heritage Druid
that's
ability.
why it's so good.
Yeah, you're just tapping an untapped creature, you're not tapping to itself in the way you are tapping.
That's the exact same way Springleaf Drum works.
Yes.
The activability is on Springleaf Drum, so like he can use the Ornithopter the first turn.
Correct, yes.
Instantly get that mana.
Yeah, unlike Elvish Mystic and Llanowar Elves, where it says tap add, Heritage just says tap an untapped elf. In that case, 3 untapped elves. Rex Sage will take care of the Overseer. There is a Elvish Archer. We're going to drill the Elves even more. He's going to remember his triggers there. Of course, again, he can attack with one of these Sentinels. It is not summon sick.
Yeah, and it's currently a 4/4, I think. There's a lot of Elves on the board,
does
though.
Does he want to? Because he has the Quarter Calling in hand. He can only Quarter Calling for 1, though. He's going to pass it back.
Yeah. I don't know. So we're not attacking either. I think he might be thinking about casting the Chord on this turn.
But I'm not sure we get a Chord for 1 here.
Yeah.
As a Spire of Industry, the draw there from Belfatto. He's going to cast 2 mana. Here comes a Cranial Plating.
It's going to be equipped to the Etched Champion, most likely.
That's true. He's going to get it for a decent attack here for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. But Eric's Board State is much more impressive than Belfatto's.
Yeah, well, I don't think Belfatto can stop it anyways.
No, and Eric has the ability to essentially Shaman a pack into an Alpha Strike, if he so chooses.
I don't even think he needs a Shaman of the pack here. Each elf gets +2/+2.
Yeah, he doesn't need it. Well, each elf, aside from the Archdruid and the Clan Caller, of course.
Yeah. Belfatto is doing the math should just be game, but he'll see if he can squeeze something out of it.
Collect in the chat, he has the ability to chord for Little Lord and then tap the extra druid to activate the clan color's ability for another clan color.
Yeah.
So it's 2 lords in 1 turn.
Belfatto is just going to scoop it up.
Yeah, Belfatto just sees it writing on the wall, scoops it up. Eric Kersting, takes game number 1 over Michael Belfatto. So very quickly, let's leave these players aside sideboarding for the second game. Let's do a little bit of talking shop. I mentioned earlier as Eric played his Winds of Teeth. So for those that did not see, we are getting Shocklands back in Guilds of Ravnica and then Ravnica Allegiance or Guilds Allegiance or the
whatever it's called.
But we're getting Shocks back to standard, which is great.
Yeah.
They're getting pretty expensive. That led to some Twitter discussion and an online discussion about whether or not another certain land type will be coming back into standard at some point, specifically fetch lands. We last saw them 3 years ago, I think it was, so 3 or 4 years now since here.
It was about like
2015, I think it was. Yeah, it's been a hot minute, it feels like.
Back in cons, yeah.
I want to say that was 2015. So it's been 3 years since we've seen fetch lands in standard. 4 years, I'm sorry. It came out in 2014.
Okay.
4 years since we've seen Khans of Dark here in standard. Since when the fetches were in standard, they were about $10, $15, which is great on your wallet compared to what they are now.
Yeah. No, they're averaging about 20 for the cons fetches.
Yes, 20 to 25, yes.
Yeah.
So the question we are posing is that will we see, or is it possible, do we want to see fetches in standard in the future? We both disagree on this. Matthew, what's your take on this?
So I would say no. A couple of reasons going in there. One, it would be a lot more expensive for standard. Right now, I don't think standard's too terribly expensive. There's a bunch of like monocolored decks out there that are actually fairly cheap, like the mono green Stompy list, mono red. I think it's getting a lot of new players into the game just because it's more affordable and less expensive for players to get into a cycling format like standard. Like back when cons decks were a lot more. If you're paying $15 per fetch land, and most decks were tricolor actually back then.
Yes.
So you're basically playing 8 of those fetch lands.
For what it's worth, Red Black Gagger was $222, Blue Black Midrange $250, Mono Red, like the Wizards deck is $79, and then the Teferi decks are expensive just because
Teferi's like 50, yeah. But I think back then, like the Abzan deck was what, 400?
I'm gonna try to
maybe a little more. Yeah, if we can get the so we'll see if we can find the exact numbers back then. Obviously, all those cards dropped in price a ton now, just because they are all out of standard. But basically, so that was one of the points for why we wouldn't want fetch lands in standard. Also, when you have shock lands, right, which are lands that you can fetch for with fetches, I don't think that's very good for the standard environment. Just because that's just gives you even more reason to be playing 4 to 8 of these fetch lands in every single deck. And lastly, it's going to increase the game time of standard by quite a bit. It'll add up just for each fetch land that's going to happen. Hey, Rob Meadows. Hey, Goober. How's it going, guys?
That is correct. But I will say that if fetches come back, I do not want to see fetches and fetchable dual lands in standard at the same time.
So
that seems absolutely
so one of the things that was brought up earlier was that if the fetch lands were in a core set, that way it's minimum time that they could be in standard, and if it was during a standard time without shock lands. I think I'd be okay with that. Obviously, like, decks would cost more, and there would be additional game time just because of all the shuffling that would potentially be happening if you are playing all the fetch lands. But then again, you're going to be less incentivized to play fetch lands if you don't have the shock lands, right? So you just be fetching out basic lands, and that's not great.
Just as a counterpoint, I think that fetches should 1000% be back in standard. You mentioned that they're running a bunch of fetches, and people are they're remembering the wrong standard format.
Sure.
They're remembering Battle for Zendikar standard when you had fetches and fetchable tools. They're not remembering only running 4 fetches in your Abzan deck or your Jeskai deck. Just because you did, there were 3 color decks, yes, but you couldn't fetch color fixing. You had the tri-lands that you were all playing.
Sure, but like right now in standard, we are getting shocks, so like that's just not.
Yeah, there is no. Yeah. No, I do not want. As much as I want to see fetches in standard, I don't want to see them with shocks. I want to see fetches in a core set, so you have the absolute minimum amount of time that they are in standard. But I just think that there was this weird perfect storm of
Is
circumstances.
that a basic force in Michael Belfatto's hand?
That is, yes. But there's this weird perfect storm of circumstances between coming off a 3-color set into fetchable duels that almost always came into play untapped. That made the cost of these decks so absurd. Combined with the fact that Jace Fringeology was also a $100 card.
Yeah.
That right there was $400 at the price of one of these decks. Like, for example, the Disguy deck that we saw played at a Pro Tour, I see only 3 copies of Flutterstrand in the deck, as Belfatto has 4 cards in his turn 1. Mox Opal, Darksteel Citadel, Ornithopter, allowing him
Triple
to
land start. Not great, though, but we'll see how fast Eric can be. He actually has the Mana Dork this time, so he could be twice as fast as
that is correct,
game.
yeah. I'll talk more
Pretty
about
scary for Michael.
talk more about some of these cons decks in a moment for this game. There's an Inkmoth Nexus, 2 mana. We're going to see a Ravager. But yeah, we see another Opal and a Forest in Belfatto's hand.
Yeah,
I mean,
instantly running out of gas here for Michael.
he has the ability to sacrifice the Opal to a Ravager to grow it up a little bit.
Yeah, he's going to be looking for an infect kill here.
That is true, yeah. He has possibly a quick infect kill. I mean, Eric's deck is not going to be huge on instant speed interaction. Not sure what Belfatto's doing. He's rearranging the way he's tapping.
Yeah.
Getting the most efficiency out of this Opal, adding mana, sacking it to Ravager, playing Opal number 2.
He
No
can
surprise
get
there from Eric.
6 +1/+1 counters on this Ravager, make Inkmoth Nexus a 7/7, which is a 2-turn clock.
Yes. He's going to start by attacking with Vault Scourge. Just for 1. So Belfatto goes to 21, Eric down to 19.
Solid drain there.
For those of you entering the giveaway, you only get a maximum of 10 tickets.
Yeah, and remember the command, there's no space between the exclamation mark and the
So again, if you try
enter.
to enter the giveaway and it's saying you have too many tickets, you only have a maximum amount of tickets, and our stream runner can double check for you if you have any questions. Neil Drock saying they are okay being full up on entries.
And of course, we will have more giveaways in the future, which
That
you
is
could
correct, yeah.
use those saved up points on.
Had quite a few people use some save up points for this giveaway today for the Nature's Vengeance Jund Commander
Yes.
deck. Max is 10 amount of tickets. So Eric's turn. He's definitely staring at a better of a gun here. He does not know Belfatto's hand is as
It's pretty
weak
bad.
as it possibly could be with basic land. But still, he knows that he has to find a way to deal. There's a Rex Sage, so Belfatto now has to pretty much go all in. Which will be interesting to see what Eric
So if he targets the Ravager, Michael has the mana to animate Inkmoth, so that's not terrible.
He's going to activate the Inkmoth Nexus, and here we go.
He's going for it.
Looks like he's going the 2-turn, just flat out 2-turn clock route.
Yep, that's still fine.
Yeah.
2 and 7 are the same, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Passes it back. There's a cranial planning off the top. How about that?
6 to the air, 5 infect.
Yeah, 5 infect and another point of damage. Eric's down to 18 and 5 poison. Belfatto up to 22. He drew a cranial planning for the turn, but of course that
it's irrelevant.
Yeah, completely irrelevant. Eric needs to find an instant speed interaction card, otherwise he's just dead.
Yep.
Draw for a turn left.
Let's see if he can get the kill this turn.
I do not see a world where Eric can get a kill.
Me
he plays
neither.
a Westfield Abbey.
If he can activate that Westfield Abbey and flip it, he has a flying blocker.
There is no possible way he can find the mana and create just activate this Westfield Abbey, though.
If he has Heritage Druid Start, he can. He hits 3 mana, and then if he hits Nettle Sentinels,
He
can
doesn't
like
go all off. And he needs the absolute perfect storm of cards. I do not think he has it.
Yeah, he would need Heritage Druid, Nettle Sentinels, probably a Collected Company. It's unlikely.
He's deep in the tank here. He knows this is pretty much it. This is his turn. I think he's trying to figure out if he can find a way to quarter calling for another Reclamation Sage. Yep, he just says can't do it. Game number 3. Belfatto wins game number 2. Much better draw even with the basic forest there. He's able to poison his opponent with the Ravager into the Inkmoth Nexus combo there. So very quickly going back, I just want to go over, these are some standard deck lists from Pro Tour Kanzadak here. Jeskai running 3 copies of Flutterstrand, Tiba running 0 fetches, Jeskai running 3 Flutterstrands, Blue-Black Control running 4 Polluted Deltas. We have a Mardu deck running 4 Bloodstained Mires. We have an Abzin deck running 4 Windswept Thieves, blue-black control, running blue. So even flock, no surprise here, even flock running the maximum amount of cards, it's almost to let him have a long, drawn-out game. For those of you who even flock, he plays control decks almost exclusively. If it's playing blue-white control at Pro Tour 15, I believe it was, with 0 win conditions, main board. There's Jessica Ascendancy combo playing 1 Flooded Strand and 4 Windswept Thieves. What I'm essentially trying to point out is that these people, this is not cons and battle standard. This is not Dark Jeskai, Blue Abzan, Martyr. That's not the same standard. Cons Dark here standard was Theros block and cons. That was a really good standard with a wide variety of decks. And there was shuffling involved, but not as much as we look at some of these Dark Jeskai decks. They're running, what, 16 fetchlands, I think it was? That's a lot of fetches. I do not want fetches in standard. That's what we're getting ever again. That seems absolutely terrible. Because those are running, I'm pulling up the Battle for Zendikar from Channel Fireball. We're seeing, how many fetches are we
Eric's
seeing?
going to be on the play for this game 3.
4 Flooded Strand, 4 Bloodstained Mire, 4 Polluted Delta. That's 12 fetches. That's not a good standard format. I don't want that. That's why those cards are worth so much money. They went from being dirt cheap, $10, $12 for all those cons fetches in that winter, to you need all of them. And that's why they went up in price. That's why the standard was so expensive. Yeah. I do see an argument for only putting them in like Modern Masters type sets just to not ever have them as standard again. But at the same time, if people want fetches to play Modern, they're going to have to at some point put up a shuffling in Modern because they want to play Modern. Fetches and the shocks are part of Modern. You gotta
Modern's normally faster though. Is what you argue for.
It can be, but you're still shuffling. And look at Justin Gemming. He does not play deck set and the game quickly. Look at KCI, deck that can win in turn 3. That's a very long turn 3 though.
Well, like those decks are going to like the 50-minute mark, like the Jeskai deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is that there is a place where fetchers can belong in standard, but it has to be the right environment. And don't be surprised if we see them in a set or a block that may not sell well otherwise. Remember, Wizards was very concerned about cons leading into release. That's why they put the fetchers in there to help sell the set in addition to the 3-color theme. Of course, in hindsight, they didn't need fetches in the format just because it was a very good set. We did see the Mirror for Life says event decks would be a good idea. We did see Windswept Thief get reprinted in an event type deck. It was in that sort of Green White versus Absent deck that also had Siege Rhino in it. And that's another point too. Cards like Siege Rhino and Mantis Shredder, they weren't expensive because there was fetch lands.
They're like $5, yeah.
Not even that. There was $1 or $2 just because fetch lands held the cost of this. It's like masterpieces can be great because they help drive the price down of certain cards. Without masterpieces, we see Settled Wreckage be up to $20, Rascal's Content be up to $20 just because there's nothing holding down the price of some of these sets. But that's just my 2 cents. Let us know how you feel in the chat. Eric starts out with a Blue Marsh into a Land Over Elves.
Off a Mold of 6, not great.
Yeah.
Both of the prior games were ended on turn 3, so we'll see what happens.
Belfatto also molded 6 game 1 and had a pretty decent draw.
Both these decks are mulligan pretty well.
No, not the best play here from Belfatto. He's got some really core cards with 2 Ravagers and a match of Ethereum, but very slow for opening turn.
Yep.
Overgrow Tomb, which is coming in standard this fall. The play there goes down to 18. We're going to see what the follow-up here is. He's looking at this Drex Sage. So he's going to fire it off aggressively. Nope, just 2 mana. We see Jordan's Elite. 3 mana available if he has the Heritage, which is not just a Nettle Sentinel. But still, Eric is flooding the board state. This is what he wants to do. This is how he won the first game. Draw for the turn is a Glimmer Void from Mr. Belfatto. I imagine he'll just... nope, he's going to start with the Spire of Industry into a Springleaf Drum into now a Ravager. Okay, so he's maximizing his artifacts.
No income Nexus though, but he does have a Master of Ethereum and I believe a second Arcbound.
Yeah, so he has some payoffs there.
He'll get quite a bit of non-infect damage, but Eric should have blockers.
Yeah, Eric will have plenty of block. Eric is going just as wide, if not wider, as he draws to the turn. Now he's considering, do I want to blow up this Ravager now? Because if need be, Belfatto can go really big and put everything all in and try to put Eric on a quick clock with a Blinkmoth Nexus. Of course, Eric is at 18 because he did shock with the Overgrown Tomb. There we go. Now he's deep in the tank.
Mm-hmm.
Belfatto's hand is 2 really good cards and 2 really bad cards.
Yep.
Do not have the greatest look at Eric's hand.
And he can only play
close to the chest.
1 during his next turn.
2 mana for Dwarven Elite number 2. So Eric going even wider now.
Yep.
Quarter Calling will be really good here. He's looking at another Rex Sage. He's going to cast another Elf. He's over at Rex Sage. So he has no Quarter Calling, no Collected Company. Just a Rex Sage. He's going to swing 5. So he's going to start putting pressure on Belfatto. That's what you want to do. I mean, so many times we see certain decks just not use their board advantage well. And as a result, for something like Belfatto that wants to go, in theory, with the double Ravager, go big into creatures, that plays into his hand when his opponent does not pressure his life total. I feel like Hardened Scales Affinity is way, way better than Original Affinity, just because it's so much more explosive.
Yeah, it's a lot more explosive. I think it's a little less consistent, though.
Yes. I do like that Affinity can bring different variations to the table to do certain things in the meta, as seen fit. The draw for the turn was an Arcbound Worker there from Belfatto. Makes me believe that maybe he is playing some Hardened Scales.
Yeah, he did have a basic force, so he could be.
It is possible. Belfatto's been known to do his version of the deck, and that is a card Eric does not want to see with Rex Sage in hand. Another Arcbound Ravager. Yep. That makes his Rex Sage completely useless. He's going to take a look at the Arcbound Worker. Just a 1 mana, 1/1. Well, it's a 0/0 technically, but has modular 1, so it gets a counter. Yeah. Belfatto's saying it's just like Ravager, except it can't stack anything to put on it. So, yes and no. It's kind of like Ravager with modular, but nowhere near as good as Ravager is.
Alrighty. So I think Eric's still in a really good spot here.
A way to tutor for a Lord will be what he wants.
Yeah, that would be ideal. Or just a couple Shaman of the packs. That'll do. If he has Collected Company, now would be the time to play it. He has 2 Llanowar Elves. He just go for it.
The way he's thinking doesn't lead me to believe he drew the best card in the world.
We'll see. I think he has 2 cards in hand right now.
Yeah, one is the Reclamation Sage. That one we know about. Belfatto has a Glimmer Void as well as a... what's it called? The Massive Ethereum. So he drew a Cavern of Souls. So again, all he has now is this Reclamation Sage.
He could play it, but I don't think he should. Save it for a cranial planing or something.
Well, it might be too late. I wouldn't mind snapping it off with his Massive Ethereum just to sort of shrink Belfatto's team.
Yeah, but like he shouldn't play it now. Like he should be saving it.
The double Ravager really puts a dent in the whole playing it now.
Yep, there's absolutely no point.
Eric really thinking long. He's always been thinking long and hard about what the correct play is with this Reclamation Sage. It looks like he's going to play it now. That does let him untap with the Nettle Sentinel, but there's no real good attacks anymore.
Yep.
Here's the 3 mana. Here's the Rex Sage. He's going to blow up the big Arcbound Ravager. I imagine Belfatto is going to grow something, but the question is, what do you grow?
Just grab the other Ravager. It gives you the... Okay.
So Belfatto, knowing how modular works, he's going to sack the Ravager, the second Ravager, grow that one, and the modular trigger is going to go on the Arcbound Ravager. So Belfatto doing a good job of spreading the wealth amongst his creatures. And here's an attack with everything. I like this a lot from Eric. He knows that he cannot win this long game as it sees fit now because he's playing at the top of the set.
If I were him, I'd leave never mind. He does have the 1 blocker Reclamation Sage.
I mean, honestly, I can kill us with a block at this point. I want to get him dead as soon as possible.
I mean, sure, but with Arcbound Ravager, he could have a very explosive hand.
Yes.
And potentially just kill you out of nowhere if you don't have a blocker.
Does take 5 down to 12. Eric is at 18, so he's going to draw his Galvanic Blast for the turn. There's Massive Ethereum. It's going to grow the team. It's not the biggest Massive Ethereum. It's only 3/3 currently, but it grows the other team, and that's a 5/5 Arcbound Worker.
You don't have to block this here. So
No.
You definitely don't. Only block if you must. Yep, going to 13 here.
He'll just, take the 5 to 13. That's okay. Eric really needs the top of his deck to be kind to him here.
Collected Company is perfect. Let's see if he gets it.
pat the table like he doesn't like the card. He sighs very heavily. Don't think it's let the company. He's acting like it's not the greatest card in the world. A Lord wouldn't be half bad either.
A Lord would not be terrible. Well, like that's why you also want like Collected Company to get Lords or Shaman of the packs. 2 Shaman of the packs ends the game. Of Coco.
That is correct. It does.
So like Eric's still in this game.
He just passes it back.
He just really needs to wait.
Cranial plating off the top, and Belfatto is sitting real pretty now.
Yep, it's gonna force Eric to block. And he's gonna go ahead and equip it, and he can still Galvanic Blast something if he so chooses. So
the question is, does Eric realize he is not? He's at 9 life, if technically not at 13. The Galvanic Blast does 4. Here we go. His attack with just a 2. Of course, Massive Team does not have flying, so he's able to block both of these things. And we're going to see the Elf Warriors, the 1/1s, jump in front, do their duty, and chump block.
Belfatto is fine with this. Yep, he'll eventually clear Eric's board.
Yeah. But no surprise, he blocked the worker, too. He didn't need to.
Yeah, that's correct, but he didn't need a block either.
Nah, he had about the master. 2 basic forests in half America, being told. So, not the best thing in the world.
Yep, pretty bad. That'll probably actually end the game.
Yeah.
Because the potential Collected Company outcome of like 2 Shamans or 2 Lords or something like that just gets worse and worse for each elf you lose.
Yep. Please win substitution to crack it. Represent something. Kale is very interesting, pointing out that if he tapped the mountain and had the Glimmer Void untapped, he could have, no, isn't it Swamp?
Yeah, Swamp, the instant equipped.
Let's pull up Cranial Plane just to double check. It is Swamp. Yep. So, I mean, to be fair, he did have... He could have just played Cranial Plating off of the Mountain and the Blinkpuff Nexus, attacked with everything, and then in the event Eric didn't block something, I used the Spire of Industry and Glimmer Void to instant speed equip. But I feel like Belfatto realizes Eric's hand is very weak, and he had the opening to just start chipping away at Eric's board state.
Yep. Second for SF5. We asked for deck lists from all our players. We hand them out after every match, but they don't always turn them in, and we can see if we can get Michael Belfatto's deck list. Yeah. Although we haven't seen a Hardened Scales.
That is correct. Andy Falk sometimes has been playing the Affinity Hardened Scales. So Belfatto heads up play here. He is putting the Cranial Plating on the Flying Blinkpuff Nexus.
Yep, and that should end it.
In theory. He has to be a little concerned about Eric courting for a Rex Sage or accompanying the Rex Sage, but again, we know Eric has nothing in hand. He has a basic forest.
Oop. And Belfatto sells a blocker, so he doesn't really need to be that afraid.
Also importantly, this is a 9-power Blinkpuff Nexus, which means he doesn't have to sacrifice anything to it. He has Galvanic Blast in hand. As long as it's unblocked, he just wins.
Yep.
And Eric has declared blockers. 1 on the Master of Ethereum. Belfatto going with the overkill, activating Blinkpuff, make it a 10-power creature, and then showing the Galvanic Blast. And that'll do it. Michael Belfatto wins this match 2-1 over Eric Kersting. Eric had a really good start game 1.
Yeah.
He got explosive. He got Lords. He had everything he wanted. He had a 5-creature lead to Stampede. But Michael, game 2, was able, and thank you, BMB 462 for follow. Belfatto, game 2, was able to have that quick clock with Ravager and Thank Moth. In game 3, he had enough. Both players.
He said the bigger creatures for the good traits, and Eric kind of ran out of gas. No Collected Company, no lead the Stampede, nothing.
Eric 1000% ran out of gas. He drew 2 lands in a row. Belfatto, he didn't have the greatest draws either, but he had Ravager, Massive Ethereum.